Hello everybody. Welcome to another rapid speedrun game, you versus me, 15. Rated 1567, who plays a Caro Kann. Now we're going to try the fantasy variation. And he takes. I feel like that makes our life... My opponent proposes a take back, we'll give it to him because he just hung a bishop. You can't make this stuff up. This guy just went bishop g4. Okay. We'll give it to him because there's not much of a video if I take that, right? With my queen. So e5, by the way, is the move that he should play. If he brings the knight out, my opponent left the game? What? Oh, he's back. If he brings the knight out, it gets kicked. So that, because he never got to play e5, he should have played e5. But instead we get to kick the knight for free, gaining space. He jumps here, but now we can even boot it further, and where is it really going? I don't know, but let's find out. And we're just building up our center. We're not developing, but neither's he. He's just running around with the same piece. Now he has what I call the Alekhines knight, because that's where the knight goes in that opening. And now I'm going to stop harassing it. I'm not going to go for any more pushes. I built up my center. I think it's time to develop. He can't develop this knight to its favorite square. It's even worse than the Alekhine, what he's doing probably, so we should bring one of our knights out. If I bring out this knight, he has an easy bishop move. So I'm going to start with the other one and say, if you want to bring your bishop out, you're going to have to go to f5 and not pin my knight, which he does. And now I can bring out my other knight, which I will. And we just have a nicer position. So he closes the pawn chain, develops his bishop. Maybe he wants to pin us. Not a big deal. We could continue developing. Bishop on either square makes some sense. But we do want to get castled, so we should pick one. I'm going to stick with e2. Just leave my queen open. Don't give him the trade. He goes for the pin, as we expected. But we're just in time. Not just in time, like he's not threatening anything. We're going to castle. So there's no pin. We didn't need to break the pin, though, because there's no threat. But we wanted to castle anyway. So he castles. Now our knight's free to go, if we wanted it. There's a developing move for free, which could be interesting, considering he doesn't have the typical queen b6 response, right? If f6, we take it, and he opens up his king, maybe. Otherwise, if he just moves his queen, I don't know if I even want that move in. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I don't really know. I'm going to put the question to his bishop because I want him to take me. Because if he does take me, my d4 pawn is now fully secure. I don't need to defend it with these two pieces anymore, as our doubled pawn is putting in a lot of work, and I like that. So he brings his knight here. Maybe he wants to break with f6 at some point because, I mean, where else is it really going? Having said that, this knight doesn't have any real jumps yet. And so I wonder if a4, a5, he would have to go back to a terrible square. And when you have this pawn isolated like this, and the open b file, you generally try to make use of it or jettison it, get rid of it. Of course, you don't have to do this. There are other moves. You can develop your dark square bishop, but another advantage to pushing is your dark square bishop now has this diagonal, and I think that's a very effective diagonal, considering our central pawns are mostly on dark. You can always try to hunt the bishop once that square is protected, but let's go for our a4, a5 plan. If he allows it, I don't think it's good for him. So if he tries f6 now, we'll intermezzo a5, forcing it back, and then address his f6. And his position is going to look bad at that point. Even worse, it already looks bad. So he stops us. So we don't get to kick his knight around. However, by pushing his a pawn, that weakens the B pawn because it can never protect those squares. So now a heavy piece on this file is even stronger, right? And we still get our diagonal. If we just go here, he'll move his rook. Let's start with that. It's just a free developing move. It looks a bit devastating. I don't know. He does move, which undefends the light square. Our rook is open, hitting that square. There's different ways to play this. We can try to go for his king, or we can maybe try to use the B file. I mean, this knight's not doing much of anything. I would like to get it for the bishop. If we did go here, it would hang. And we also need to get our queen in on the action. If we move our queen to try to swing it to the king side and support that square, and he goes greedy, I like to think I have a move there, but what is that move? Not entirely sure. How else can we support this? I mean, there's g3. We could just go bishop d3, and that solves kind of lots of problems. And then we can attack his king from there, but different ways to play it. I don't know what I want to do. That's the problem. Queen e1. Knight takes pawn. I mean, we could just kind of ignore him probably. Give him that pawn. Hit the bishop. Although there's no point because he's just going to move it. Yeah, we just got to get rid of the bishop, I guess. But then maybe we should have gone bishop d3 to start with. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I feel like it's just a bunch of move order stuff. So I'm just going to make a useful move. Rook e2. It prepares doubling in either direction. It controls the c2 square, so when we abandon it with our queen, he can't actually use this as an escape square. And if we want to use the b file, we couldn't go to rook b1 because of the bishop, but we can go to rook b2. So in lots of different ways, it's a useful move. It's not the first thing that's going to pop up on your radar, but hopefully I just explained why it makes a lot of sense. I'm not saying it's the best move, but it's definitely a good move and a useful move that does a lot of things. Because at some point, if we move the bishop, boom, rook af2, and already good stuff. And more importantly, what's his move, right? Like, he's stuck entirely unless he plays f6 or c5 pawn breaks. But they don't look good for him. But if he goes c5, and we push past, he gets a pawn. I mean, if he goes c5, I'm just going to ignore him, right? I don't want to do anything. If he takes, we have that covered. I don't want to take and mess up my structure. I don't want to push and maybe hang this central pawn. I don't want to calculate. I hate pawn play because you have to look at every little thing. So he wastes a turn with the same piece. He wants to get rid of it. I mean, I don't mind if he gets rid of it for the knight. I didn't even want this knight here. It's in my way. But what really piss him off is if I go knight d2 and hit the bishop and say, nope. What does he want? f5? Is that his idea? That's not a good move. Maybe it's his only move, though. Okay, so maybe we could just ignore him and continue our plan. Like I said, B file pressure. My opponent keeps leaving the game, but he keeps coming back, so I think it's just an internet thing. Plus, he has way more time than us, so we can use some extra time. So now we're pressuring the knight. He moves the queen. What is that about? Just to defend the pawn? But you can't move the knight now. It's stuck. It has 0 squares. Weird. The queen no longer covers this diagonal. And your queen's in a terrible spot. Your position's awful. So now I have this. And I like this because it hits the king, hit the pawn, the bishop. Now we've finally waited just long enough to get this through. And look at our pieces. Boom, 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 boom. The lines are really good, right? So he goes back to defend both threats at the same time. We could really just put him in a tough spot with the pawns now. Also an argument to be made to just move the bishop here, double the rooks, and try to steamroll him on the king side. If we did go here, and let's say it was our turn, and we took, and he takes. I mean, the pawn, if we push the pawn and he tries to kick our knight, and we ignore him, and he takes our knight, and we take his bishop, and he takes our pawn. You could also, I mean, this bishop is the only thing that's not really doing anything of ours. So I'm going to go bishop h5 because I want to get my rook here. I mean, the b file is good too if he doesn't have this bishop because you can double there as well, and that looks pretty devastating. But he can even just defend and just stay passive the entire time. We don't really need that. The f7 square is weak enough, and he actually can't, like with the b pawn, he can move the rook and defend, but he can't do the same with the other rook because of the diagonal. It slices right through his position. It's extremely strong. What did he do? He takes a pawn. I'm going to ignore him. I mean, he's hitting a rook. I kind of want to ignore him, though, and just take. Which I'm going to do. He can take my rook. He can take a bishop. They're both hanging. But he better calculate, because if he doesn't, who knows what's going to happen. I didn't even calculate. Just on feeling alone, I'm assuming I'm going to have something in the position. I hope that's correct. What did he do? Okay, so he takes the bishop back. And now he's hitting my rook, he's hitting my bishop. We don't really care, though. I mean, it's a beautiful bishop, but... Queen f3. Threatens boom. Boom. What's the correct move here? I mean, we could just move our rook and hang the bishop. I think maybe I'll go with that. We go here. He takes the bishop. We go in here, maybe. But I think I need my queen in on the action, actually. Should I save the rook? I don't know. Huh. Obviously, you could just protect your bishop, but there's a 0% chance I'm doing that. He's going to try to contest us once our bishop's not there, though. Okay, I'm going to go queen f3, my initial reaction. And he could take what he wants. I have no idea how this ends, though. But, yeah, he goes for the bishop. He leaves the rook, which is weird. But what about like check? And then he should be getting mated, no? Can we take this? And collapse his king side, and then we need to somehow get a rook lift in. Takes it, but then this is just checkmate. Yeah, that's just checkmate. I don't think he could have taken the knight. He shouldn't have taken the knight, because then I would have had to think. But now it's just checkmate. I mean, he can delay it maybe one turn by sacking his queen. But yeah. Oh, okay. He wants to go here, so he sacks his knight. But does this actually change anything? Because now I'm threatening this mate. So he has to go here, or here, or here, or here, just to touch this square. Okay. He proves me wrong. He proves me wrong. I'm laughing. I should find a move, though. Okay, well, first let's just give him the check. What's the worst that could happen? I don't know, man. We'll give him another check just to see if he goes here. That's a free check. If he goes back the other way, I'll see where he goes. Oh, yeah, we're also coordinating here now. So now it's definitely easy checkmate. No matter what he does, you can take the pawn and open check. You can bring in the rook with a new check. If he goes back the other way, you coordinate here and here. So, GG, guy. Let's go for this one because it looks cool. Whew. Okay, so I spent a lot of time thinking, but at least we cleaned it up. We got that checkmate. And you can see how I hung an entire piece. I was even willing to hang the rook, which I didn't need at the end of the day. So, let's see. Of course, you don't have to play like that. Obviously, there's different ways, but I can't help myself, right? So, he has an 81%, not bad. So this is a smooth game. We have one mistake, no inaccuracy, so 96%. So our mistake is somewhere like here. It's probably just giving up our army for no reason. But for fun, that's a good reason. So we try the fantasy. He takes force move. He attacks us. Now you could defend, but gain space for free makes a lot of sense. Dislodging his knight from its best square, gaining space for free, and better development with our knight. Development in center. It says we're plus 1.7. And, for the rest of the game, until I made my mistake and higher. He goes here, development in center. He goes here. Now, it would have been easier just to go bishop d3. I tried to keep more pieces on the board, but at the end of the day, it took way too long to get rid of his bishop. They're both, they're the top two moves, either square, but I feel like bishop d3 would have just made my life quicker. Easier, not quicker. So whatever. Development and king safety at plus 1.5. Castling and development. This open f pawn, because we played the fantasy, gives us attacking ideas, and you can see how it led to a beautiful mate. He castles. Just improve for free, ask him the question, forced move, and cementing our center. So what are the best moves here? a4 is top, followed by queen e1, the other move I wanted to make, to get it to the king side. But we picked the best one move at plus 1.9, a4, because if he lets us do this, his position is just untenable. You can't play like that. So he plays a5, stopping us. And now we play best move, development for free at plus 2. And this is just the strongest piece on the board currently. So that's why we're winning, even though we're not up a pawn. He has to move, and now it recommends queen b3 is top, but I mean, I said if you put a heavy on the b file, that would be good for you. But I kind of wanted my queen for the king side, so I never even really considered putting my queen on that side. Just like in the Stonewall, it's just not my style. Of course, if it wins outright, I'll do it, but... So I went for rook a2, which is second best, and third best is h3, probably to mess with the bishop. I was considering that too. I'm glad rook a2 is second best, almost as good as the top. It's not easy to find, but I feel like once you realize you just never get to b1, you could see how useful it is. He attacks our knight, and top move is rook b2, which we play. Improving a piece and restriction, because we're tying down this knight, because maybe he wants to go here, a little defense or whatever, but then his knight is loose, and maybe we kick it and win the b pawn behind it or something, right? Like, this rook just puts a lot of pressure. So he tries to defend the pawn. Now it's +4 because his queen is entirely misplaced and he abandoned the dark squares. So now we take advantage of that drawback, find best move knight g5, which I'm glad we're finding all the good stuff, which improves a piece for free. He has to go bishop g6 or bishop f5 to ruin what we're trying to do. And now the best move is bishop d3, not bishop h5. Bishop h5 is on the top list, along with h4. So we were considering h4, bishop h5. I looked at bishop d3. I thought maybe if he takes and we take and he takes, I don't really want to calculate, but he can't take because of checkmating ideas. So maybe I should have thought about it. But either way, if we go h4 and he goes h6, the best idea is to just ignore him like I calculated. h5. If he takes your knight, you take, and he takes or something. I mean, what is this? So we could have gone for that. I did settle on this, which I don't know why they're not calling it an inaccuracy. I guess because it's still +4, but whatever. It works, so it's a good move. The idea is to just, if you look at the ideas where the moves come from, all three of these moves have the same underlying idea, theme of getting rid of this bishop, which is the only defender of his king. So that's where the moves come from, right? That's how you find candidate moves. So anyway, we play one of them, and it is his best move to take this pawn, even though he's totally lost at +4. So here we make a mistake. So this is our one mistake of the game. I missed tactics. Come on. So easy. You could take this because you have so much support, and then you bring your queen in and it's devastating. So rook sack on f7, obviously super strong. Queen g4, they also recommend, which... Queen g4? So queen g4, let's just say for argument he takes the rook. Then again, we sack something on f7 or h7. This one and this one, just to destroy his light square complex. How does the knight one work? So we take... He can't take because of this. If he takes with the king, I mean, then we take this. If he takes, we take, and he gets mated. So basically, we're using the light square weaknesses in all the variations and all the candidate moves they provide to collapse the light squares and checkmate him. Queen g4 is a little more vague. I feel like the rook sack is a more obvious move. But their absolute best move, which is what I considered, is rook b f2. Just getting the rook out of the way, doubling, and having immense pressure on this pawn. So that was one of the moves I wanted to make, but I threw in this. And they're saying, one mistake of the game. So now he can somehow avoid mate if he plays perfectly, but we're just a lot better. He finds the best move. And here is where I was considering also bringing the rook over, queen f3, and things like that. And rook, yeah, and those two. Queen f3 is the best move, really the only move you can play if you want an advantage to keep it. So we actually land on the best move. And his best move is knight takes b2. He's supposed to take the rook, Regardless of which one he takes, we're winning at +2. Whatever, he takes this. We have to give the check. He goes over, and then we've actually put ourselves multiple times in only move territory. Not that we would lose, but for the advantage. So we had to find Queen F3, and now we have to find Queen F7 check, and now we have to find Knight takes H7. Nothing else is any good. I mean, nothing else is completely winning. And now he has to go Queen D8. I don't know, just to add some layer of defense or something. Who knows? But he takes the knight, which is just an easy mate because of the rook left. If he does go Queen D8, oh, we can collapse him here. Yikes. So what exactly does bishop takes change? If we move our rook, I guess we ruin all of our sacrifices on that square. And those were the strongest lines. Because once you take, he moves that pawn away, and you don't get any of the X-ray pressure. You don't get any of the cool stuff. This is obviously just overwhelming, though. Okay, we could have gone for this. We made one little inaccuracy in our attack, but it still kind of was unstoppable. So, does it really matter? Who knows? In any case, he tries to hold off, but it's not going to work because it's forced mate. So really cool game. I'm liking the fantasy variation so far. Hopefully you enjoyed this kingside attack, and you can see how I consider sacrificing my pieces, how I consider ignoring, and then you can compare it to how you automatically react once your piece is hit. Oh, I need to defend, need to move away, right? You don't always need to. So good luck in your chess. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.